good evening everyone, and welcome to our very first live unboxing. And this evening I'm so excited that we have got some special guests. We've got Maz Evans and Louie Stowell with us, and we are going to be unboxing the Lower Key Stage 2 box. So books chosen for Year 3 and for readers. And I'm not going to tell you what they are if you haven't had the box. We're going to do that live. So I'm going to welcome to the studio our very wonderful, talented special guests. We have Louie Stowell. Good evening.
Hello.
And Maz Evans.
Hello.
Hi ladies, how are we doing?
Pretty good.
Damp. I've literally been on water slides all afternoon.
Were the good ones though?
Really good ones. Although, make sure you wear a durable swimsuit, as I discovered to my, we don't need to go into that any further, but yeah.
Is there another story in there? We won't go there this evening.
Yeah. There's people in Dorset's Premier Water Park who know a lot more about me than I would entirely like them to. Let's just leave it there, draw a line. That's not what we're here to do.
Every day's an idea day, though, you know.
Yes, the swimsuit that disappeared. Yeah, brilliant. Love it.
So, ladies, have you had a special delivery from Reading Rocks? I'm so excited.
You see, Reading Rocks. There you go. Terrible.
I hope it's not like the pants I ordered from M&S. Unbox them like they wouldn't get mysterious brown packages.
I did try to make it identifiable, but I hope
we're good. We're good.
Have you had a sneak peek?
No, I wouldn't do that.
No.
Is this going to be one of those things where I realise I can't open a package and it's going to take
yes, I think it's going to be one of those where you should have just slightly opened it.
Yeah, I'm getting my thumb under there while I'm not like on camera.
I'm sure nothing's going to jump out, but you never know with exploding life. Yeah. Are we ready?
Ready.
Are we going to do it?
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, now it's a race. Now it's a race. Now it's a race. I can't open it. No, how do you get it?
It's open.
Oh my goodness, it's proper savage opening.
Oh, there's books in here and everything. Oh, there's a nice little bit of tissue paper. The Reading Rocks branding.
Oh yeah, got that. It look nice. What else is in there?
We've got an attractive hanging thing.
I wonder whose book that goes with.
Oh,
Mark?
Not sure about this. It was. Do you do returns, Hev? Or is it just I haven't seen the proper one because I got sneaky.
Well, yeah, same. I had a proof of yours, so I didn't have this
one. Got pictures in and everything.
Oh, so shiny.
It is.
They are shiny, aren't they?
Isn't it?
I'm loving the foil on both of them.
Foil.
What else have you got on the this biscuit? You found the biscuit yet, Louie?
No, it wasn't a biscuit.
Oh, sorry, maybe that was just for me. Oh, it was little envelope. I'm throwing everything around here now. Oh, hello. Gingerbread instant coffee. Oh, Hev, it's a bit joy in a box.
As Louie's not got coffee and biscuit in.
Oh,
have you got an envelope, Louie?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Louie just stopped at her book and then, that's it for you. This is what happens when you work with the big names, you see. They forget who the little people are.
I've got something about maths.
Biscuits,
I get maths.
Oh, you should have a biscuit in there. Are you sure someone's not opened your box before you?
They did.
Oh, she's still opening. Nice paper.
It's so. I know we're going to talk about it. I can't tell you how brilliant this book is, and I actually mean it. I'm not just saying it. Super rocks with my good friend Louie. If I did, it's good. I can't tell you how good. Well, I'm going to try and tell you how good it is, but oh man, I'm still going here. This is brilliant. Oh,
I think I could. Oh no, we got the maths. We both got the maths
too. Yeah, I've lost all interest. So, brilliant job.
Well, I'll tell you what. Something else I got that you might not have.
Oh. She's gone to the other land.
She's
Mine came with a puppy.
I've got 2 kids next door.
Who wants kids when we can have puppies?
Doggy. Oh.
I promise I did not send the puppy in the box.
Yeah, but, I mean, the biscuit's nice and everything, Hev. But,
Now I see why my biscuits got eaten.
I think that's what it is. Oh, when I chose the 2 books, I, like you, obviously had just seen the proof. So when I put them next to each other, it was just like meant to be. The colours and everything, just like
Louie and I, it's basically it. It was foil at first sight, wasn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've not seen that. I don't know what colour is that? Like a chrome foil, maybe? No, not chrome. Bronze.
Like
the words. And that's my job, is I write it down and then I give it to the people who do all the other stuff. Word monkey. That's just me. You are an illustrator and an artist. So you understand me literally just...
I don't understand colours, actually. I only do black and white, so... me.
Aren't you rubbish, then?
And also, when, as well as putting them together, then inside yours, Maz, you've actually got a quote from Louie. It was so meant to be.
Well, I love it. But Louie,
did you not know that when you chose them?
No, because it was just proof when I seen them, so I didn't know that.
Of course, yeah.
Really meant to be. She got upset because she was the only person who didn't use the word explode in her. She just went, well, I
on my own.
Who doesn't want joy on a stick as the word?
It's implied. Joy on a stick in brackets that explodes.
Your joy will explode while you're on the stick. No, but it's very, very funny and explosive as well. But I just didn't say that at the time.
Should we talk about humour? Because I felt like humour were kind of really important to both of the books. When you set out with both of the stories in each of you in your mind was humour. I know from Maz, you're kind of known for your laugh out loud series.
I'm known for trying. Sticker for effort, Evans. Yeah.
Was it something that just was natural, or did it evolve? And same for you, Louie. Kind of was it in your mind that you wanted the kind of humour in there?
I'm way more interested in Louie's answers, so could she go?
I don't know. I think basically I sort of assume everything should be funny unless otherwise specified. So like I guess if I was writing a really sad book, no, I probably still want it to be funny anyway. I just have jokes with sad bits in between. So yeah, basically, yeah, I think that's just default. I wouldn't necessarily think of writing something very serious. I've occasionally tried to, and it sounds like I'm joking. Like it's a bit like I once saw Eddie Izzard in like a very serious drama, and I just kept expecting him to go like, and he was being an actor, And anyway, so I think it just sounds like I'm taking the piss. Mickey.
It was her first.
Oh no, I wrote it backwards. Normally on Zoom, it's backwards, but apparently on this one it isn't. So now you're backwards writing.
I do all mine before we start.
Right. I'm sorry. Mickey. They're taking the Mickey. Anyway. Enough about you. Enough about me. What about you?
I'm sorry. I'm so traumatized by that gratuitous language from one of my revered children's authors. I'm struggling to move on. This is why I wanted Louie to go first so I could copy her answer. How I got through my education. I'm the same. It's like I'll just do funny. This sounds like a cocky thing to say. I don't mean it. I mean it actually as a stupid thing to say. But the funny bits are the only bits I find easy, actually. It's all the rest of the other stuff that challenges me. Like knowing what chrome foil is, for instance, and everything down from there. So it's kind of quite often the funniest is where I start and then I work the other stuff backwards from that. So I can't be serious. Exactly as it says. I mean, before I was a children's author, before I failed as a children's author, I failed as a TV scriptwriter, and I had a job on Casualty, and I got fired because I just, you know, there'd be like some massive cardiovascular scene, and I'd literally like put fart gag in it, or something. You are just not getting the vibe here at all, Evans, and I can't help it.
People do fart when they're under anaesthetic because they're not anymore.
But I think probably not the anaesthetist, which is where I was probably no, they're wrong. You know,
Depends what you have for lunch.
Yeah. It's kind of,
I think you should rework it into a children's book. I think starting and this is going on really well.
No idea is ever wasted. Let me tell you that. But it's good. But I think that the thing about humor, and certainly this wonderful book, Otherland, is an excellent example of it, as is all of Louis' oeuvre. That just because it's funny doesn't mean it's not quite serious as well. And that's where, it only took me 14 minutes and I've ascended this soapbox. But this is where funny books it does my head in that they're not taken as seriously as they should be. Because I actually know a funny book that doesn't deal with something frankly quite breathtakingly awful underneath the surface, but we're just trying to do it in a way that doesn't make you want to go and kind of jump off a bridge after reading it. So I have one job. I can't do it any other way. So yeah, fingers crossed I keep getting asked to do it.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So
off the contract, we'll soon find out.
Some people who are watching will have received the box, and they may well have already dipped in and had a read. Some people might not have got a copy of the book left. So let's tell people a little bit about them without. Do you think we could do it without spoilers? Maybe. Should we go with Otherland first? Do you want to give us a little bit intro into it, Louie?
Sure. Well, it's about two children who have to go to Otherland, aka basically fairyland, but really horrible. And they have to rescue a stolen baby from the fairy queen. And the fairy queen is sort of, if you imagine if Galadriel was crossed with your worst nightmare / the Joker, but with like a real kind of sense of fun. I guess the Joker has a sense of fun. So she's basically your kind of like unhinged villain who doesn't have any kind of moral compass whatsoever. So she will definitely do anything and not care. Not that she's kind of got no feelings. She's very kind of sensitive in terms of if you prick her ego, she will, explode. And so basically it's a quest story about these two children who sort of hate each other. So bickering their way through the quest to rescue the baby with their foe, the fairy queen, encountering all sorts of strange creatures, fairies, gods. There's no actual vampires in the book. Fun fact, there's vampires in the blurb, but we never meet a vampire in the book. They're just alluded to. So the idea being it's kind of like a world that you don't see all of, because I always feel with world building, I want to kind of create like 10 times as much as you actually show. And this book took me a very long time to write. It took 20 years, not like solidly, but off and on. So the world was very much built in a kind of like, drip, drip, drip of sedimentary rock. So basically I had to cut a million things and you never see them, but they happen off stage.
But that's amazing because we see so much in their quest, in their journey. You show us so many different parts and scenes. It's interesting that you've cut so much out as well.
Yeah.
So
there's a whole bit where basically all the kind of creatures that humans interpret as demons live, called the pit. And it basically, I think it's referenced in one line where it's like, like a swear word, basically the pit, but yeah, it was kind of basically, we never get to visit. I mean, it's not very nice, so you wouldn't want to go, but, and ditto, there's, I think the idea of that the human world is kind of obviously where we live, and then the further you get from that, the stranger it gets, and it gets to the point where the last realm, if you went there, you would basically lose your mind because you can't cope with the kind of the difference of it. So yeah, again, can't set a story there, but it's there in my mind.
I love that. It's amazing. So your two characters, Myra and Rohan, and I can't decide. I feel like sometimes I relate to one, sometimes I relate to the other, and I love their journey as their friendship as we go through it. where did they come from? Where did they come from?
So I think Myra worked backwards from adulthood, and I was thinking like, you know, your messy friend on a night out, the one that you have to pour into a cab and that kind of starts a fight. I was thinking, what would they be like when they were 11? And you know, like before all the hormones kicked in, but like still there's stuff going on. So I think basically someone who has no brakes, no off switch. And initially, actually, Rohan was the main character.
Okay.
Or rather, he was the perspective character, because in a way, I think they're both main characters. But basically, what I was finding with his perspective is because he's very nervous, it was always holding everything back. Whereas with Myra, it's like full speed ahead. And I thought it'd be quite fun to explore what it means to be there with a character who doesn't know when to stop and always goes too far. And then kind of obviously we get Rohan's perspective through what he says and body language, but Mara's not particularly perceptive, so she doesn't always pick up on all his cues. But yeah, I think that kind of contrasting element was definitely there from the start. Rohan's probably like more based on real people than some characters are. Not a bunch of people I knew when I was about that age, I guess. But definitely the kind of the person who just thinks everything's about to fall apart always at all times. Like the person who was probably really well prepared for the pandemic because they kind of thought about every eventuality, and a global pandemic was definitely on their list, and they had like stocks and they had toilet paper. Rohan would be great in a pandemic. But Myra would be terrible. Don't get stuck with her.
No, I think it'd be quite intense, wouldn't it? Yeah. Thinking about like I could see a bit of myself in both of those characters and seeing what they learned about themselves and their friendship as they went through. So I've chosen this book to go into lower key stage 2. When you think about children reading it, what is your hope that they'll get out of it, as well as just having a great read and enjoying it?
I think basically I want them to come away thinking about stories like they're real, not in a delusional way, but just that they would kind of want to go into new, like I guess making them want to read more, because they've like, right, okay, we've got this world, we've explored this one, what's next? And I suppose that idea of like story being a living, breathing thing. And also I think a little bit about kind of trying to admit what's actually bothering you. And I think kind of there's a lot of like emotional repression going on in this book. Even though Myra has no off switch, she definitely doesn't have very much self-knowledge. So there's a bit of it where she's forced to dig into her, you know, what she's afraid of. And I definitely can relate to that idea of like not wanting to look at it, don't touch it, don't talk about it. And I think, you know,
write one book instead works well, doesn't it?
Like, I guess encouraging children to think about those things, but you know, through the medium of fiction, so they're not necessarily having to kind of, you know, think about the darkest things in their life, but also it's giving them a window into how you might do that.
Yeah, I think that scene where they are faced with their insecurities, you could use that with a class to get them to think about it and possibly write what would appear for them. And that was a really powerful scene. I don't want to think about what might appear in mine though. Definitely imposter syndrome, always get that one. Thanks, Louie. We're going to jump to Maz because it's a little bit eerie when Maz is quiet for this long.
What are you planning, Maz?
I'm not swearing like some people.
Let's go to Scarlet. I love Scarlet. Tell us about where she came from then.
So this is the first time I've written a slightly younger book. So the Who Let the Gods Out series, the Vice series are firmly middle grade, so they're 9 to 12. Whereas this is, I hate putting ages on books, and I bet you're the same, Louie. I don't like saying this is for younger readers because actually it's just for people who like a shorter book. Some amazing illustrations in by Chris Evans, who is just a superstar and has done. It's like I cannot draw. I cannot draw the curtains. I cannot draw a bath. I cannot draw. And Chris literally, like, went into my head, which is not a good place to be. That doesn't look black and white to me. It looks blue. So you have more range than you said you did. Literally, like Chris, went into my head and plucked out what I would like it to look like if I didn't draw it myself. And he's done a just glorious job on the illustration. So it's for people who don't like, long chapter books are a bit overwhelming, and they're like broken up with some fantastic pictures that I cannot stress enough I didn't draw. But I've absolutely loved writing for this age group, and not just because it's shorter. I will deny that every single day, that it's like literally half the work of a middle grade novel, and someone gets to draw the pictures, which takes up loads of pages. So nothing to do with that. It's just it's lovely to kind of think in a different way, because as we've written a few books, it's kind of you want to do the same thing but different, and kind of come down age range first. So the heroine of this book is young Scarlet Fife, who is, a lovely, charming 9-year-old little girl who, like, I say 9-year-old little girls, 9-year-old little boys, 42-year-old little girls, has very big feelings that don't quite fit inside her. And she points out she's like 136 centimeters tall, but her feelings are at least 137 centimeters big sometimes, because they won't fit inside her. And there are going to be at least, hopefully, 3 books in this series, all of which deal with a different emotion. So this one is about anger. The second one, The Wobbly Life of Scarlet Fife, am I allowed to say that? Just did, too late. Is coming out next year, and that's about dealing with worries and anxiety. And The Stormy Life of Scarlet Fife is about how we deal with grief and sadness. And Scarlet, as we meet her, is struggling with her temper. Her temper keeps getting the better of her. And unfortunately, things come to a bit of a head. I have to say, not entirely through her own fault, I feel. And I think that's the case with a lot of children. When they get angry, quite often as adults, we don't listen to the 15 steps that happened up to the one that inconvenienced us. We just see the thing. And I know as a mother, I'm very guilty of that. So through not really entirely her own fault, Scarlet has a big temper tantrum at her aunties. Her aunties get married, and it's their engagement party. And through one means and another, the class hamster gets up the vicar's trousers, and this causes something of a hullabaloo. And so Scarlet, that her mum does the thing. Scarlet has crossed the line. So it is the if you ... one more ... then ... speech. And in this case, if you lose your temper one more time before the end of your school term, before your auntie's wedding, in fact, you are not going to Super Mega Awesome Sicky Fun World, the best theme park on the planet, even better than Dorset's Premier Water Park. And so Scarlet still has these feelings. I mean, as I say regularly to children, feelings are like farts. They're coming out whichever way they go. The question is how you get them out without anyone else really being bothered by them. And Louie, you have a dog, very useful for the farts. But your feelings aren't going anywhere. And I say in the book, feelings are like slime in a party bag. They're going to find their way out one way or another. And so poor old Scarlet, she decides the best strategy for her is just to squish her feelings down, so they don't bother her or anyone else. But of course, it's never going to work. You can't do it. Feeling is a feeling. And the more she squashes these feelings down, the more things literally all around her start to physically explode. So while she is unable to process her emotions, they start to manifest physically around her. So it might be her teacher's smoothie, it might be her mum's terrible cooking, her blackberry cheese, it might be the paint when they're painting the Christmas sets, and most alarmingly, it might be the large pile of elephant poo on the school trip to the wildlife park. So Scarlet basically has to learn through the books and through her interactions with all the adults in her world how to better process her anger in a slightly healthier, less explosive way.
And it's very funny.
Oh, and it's brilliant. I was honestly like the best book in the market right now, I'd say. I mean, books that you can choose. I think I'll win a chicken. This is so cool. I cannot tell you. Now we're getting around.
Oh, it is so funny and really relatable. I want to talk about a particular character.
I bet I know who it is as well.
You know it's going to be, don't you?
William.
I need to talk about William and his mum.
William's mum. Of course it's going to be William.
Tell us, you know William's mum. Everyone knows William. Well, you know William's
I think William's mum is basically every mum on Mumsnet.
Yeah. Don't diss the net. Don't diss the Mnet. Back off. My children have been raised by
Am
mum.
I being unreasonable if William is?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, everyone knows. And it's funny, when I wrote her, I thought, is this just my experience of a certain type of mum? But no, it turns out it isn't. So for those who've not read the book, all three of you.
Why not?
William Yu is Scarlet's nemesis at school, and his, really quite terrible behaviour is forever excused by his mother, who has managed to inveigle herself to be both his class teaching assistant, the chair of the PTA, and the head of the governors at the school. So every time William gets into trouble, his mum helicopters in and well, maybe doesn't create, maybe these syndromes really do exist, but there is a syndrome that will explain every single aspect of William's behavior. So he has, sparkly sticker requirement syndrome, or, competitive sports day disorder, or something like that. And that's why William is basically behaving like a little, I'll say tyke, because I'm still a professional.
Nicely done. I loved reading William and his mum, and I thought there was just such a real element to it that I think if parents are reading this to their children, that they're going to laugh a lot with it as well. As I read it, Maz, I was thinking, how on earth has she woven so much amazing representation into this book?
Oh,
it kind of just, and it just felt so natural.
Good.
Just kind of thing. I want to make sure that this book is representative. How did you go about that?
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, every book should be, shouldn't it? And we all come from a background and a default, and certainly I have plenty of mine. And I think I was particularly mindful because of Who Let the Gods Out, which was the first series I wrote. A lot of the cast was kind of handed to me by millennia of mythology and folklore. I couldn't really do a lot with them, and then I set it in a Wiltshire farm town, so that's slightly further limited who was realistically likely to be part of that community. And with this and with Vice Spy, it really did matter to me. I meet a lot of readers, I'm very blessed, who come from all kinds of backgrounds with all sorts of experiences and all sorts of everything. And what's lovely about this book is because it's part of a big sort of extended blended family, it's quite easy to bring lots of people in, because I mean lots of children who have all sorts of family setups and blah, 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 and I just kind of want them to know that's just, I'm a divorced parent. Jakob is my partner, by the way. Scarlet, 5 stepfather, is my partner. And even though I tried not to be, he absolutely can literally fit 3 crumpets in his mouth. That is like a searing, visceral truth in my life. But I think it's something, I hope I don't try to do it. I hope it's just something that happens. And when I do go to those defaults that are around my life, and I think, and I go, no, is that the most interesting character that I can have in this book? And is that, but equally you don't, it's very hard to get along. You don't want to be tokenistic. I certainly don't want to appropriate a story or a life that is not mine to tell. But equally, I want my readers to find them or something in their lives. And you can't do it all in every book, but I hope if I'm allowed to have a long career, I'll try and touch on most things for most people.
I like you got a lot into this one, but it felt really, it didn't feel like you were trying. It was just part of the story and the part of the scene, and I thought it was really great, and lots of children will relate to it, and if it's not there,
sorry.
Let's
go, lesbians, let's go.
They were just part of the scene, weren't they? You didn't make it something like, I'm going to try and put this in as like, look at it. No, it just felt like.
Yeah. But I think sometimes when it can be very easy to tell characters' lives that are not yours in terms of prejudice or discrimination or what have you. And whilst those things exist, I don't feel those are not stories for me to tell. But I think sometimes it's nice to have some representation of something that's just unilaterally positive. I mean, Scarlet references homophobia once in the book, but in her style, she misunderstands homophobia as being a literal phobia of someone's home. So you're too scared to go to the house. And she thinks arachnophobia is anorakphobia, and therefore you're scared to go to the couch. Homophobia is fear of someone's home, and she says, well, isn't that a shame, because you're going to miss out on so many friends, and what a sad way to view the world. And that's the only reference I think that adults know what I mean. They know where I'm coming from, and it's just Poppy says thank you, Hev. That means an awful lot. I'm so pleased.
That's very good. Do either of you want to ask a question of each other?
Ooh, this is where it gets dangerous. Okay, so if you could explode one thing you don't like in the world, what would you explode?
This is so easy, but it's particularly niche. And it's really first world. Okay, and this wound me up the other day. So I'm just going to drop a name. I had lunch with the lovely Piers Tour Day on Friday, and we treated ourselves. We haven't seen each other for nearly 2 years. We went to quite a swanky restaurant. And they have a set menu, right? You know, we have a set menu that's like $9.99 for 2 courses or whatever it is. And then they put something on the set menu and they say £2.95 supplement. No. The menu is £9.99. That's the set menu. That's it. Don't come at me with it. That makes it a £12.95 menu, not a £9.99 menu. Don't do it. And I know that everyone in Syria and all the people facing prejudice and poverty across the world are really with me on this one. That they're like, we have our problems, Maz, but supplements on set menus, that is what the world needs to fix first. It's disgusting. It's sickening. And I, for one, won't stand for it.
So, exploding. Boom.
Yeah.
This is a little bit like room 101.
And prejudice and bigotry and stupidity. those would go. But I hope they're a given.
Oh, sorry, second question.
To put it into the exploding 101 room.
Supplements first, all prejudice really close behind. But let's have everyone paying the same money for the menu they agreed to. It's only right.
And also, did you literally think I'm going to write Carrie for 8-year-olds?
Now you give me the strap line. Now we've got the chrome foil and it's way too late. I think this draws on lots of references, and I realised that one of them was 3 Men and a Little Lady, to show that, you know, I don't always obviously reference Homer and Ovid in my work. Can I ask Louie 2 questions actually?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Are there going to be more?
I would very much like there to be more. It depends how many people buy it, I think.
So bye everybody.
Yeah. Yes, I've definitely got ideas for what might come next.
Brilliant. And what is your idea of Fantasyland hell? You say, you know, it's a world of gods, vampires, fairies. It's also horrible. What is the realm that you couldn't possibly travel to that you spoke of earlier? What's in it for you?
Okay, so it would be about 35 degrees. I basically wilt when it's over 21. 35 degrees. The only food would be like offal.
Oh, no.
And basically it would be full of like everyone who's like slightly annoying, not evil, just slightly annoying. You know, so you've got the people that kind of like on holiday, they'll reserve a sun lounger with their towel, but they'll be on it.
People who don't wear headphones whilst they're watching something on their phone.
Yeah. People who talk into their phone like that.
Like they're on the Apprentice.
But they'd be like trolls and fairies and stuff, but like really, really annoying. And just really hot. And there'd be like there'd be one of those like snack machines that you can never get stuff out of. You know, like it eats it. Like, if you ever try to do it in America and you have to do it with dollar bills, and it's impossible to get them flat enough.
Yeah,
they do not want to go flat.
No.
So yeah, basically a world of hot minor irritations.
And lifts would never quite come to your floor. So you'd be in
and you're always and you've got the queues, with the supermarket queues, where you're going between them and you keep dithering. And you just end up.
You go to self-service checkout, and it keeps asking you to rescan your item and incorrect bag weight and
unexpected item in the bagging area. I've always thought it'd be a New Zealand. That's just all they say. It's not. It's expected. I put it there.
I feel like you thought about this place before.
I feel like Louie and I are of a certain age, and this is what happens. Everything, we are the same age now. I turned your age on Wednesday.
Yes,
we are
age where we know the meaning of life.
We know the meaning of life at our age, but God, it's irritating.
Yeah, I think less anger, more mild irritation. Well, actually, no, to be fair, I also feel like deep rage about the state of the world. but that's just not as funny.
But yeah, but that's what I have to sublimate into menu supplements. There's so much I can't do anything about. But that one, hopefully, I can fix one of these days. It's a place to put all the rage and all the things that are not fair and unkind.
No, I do find actually with children's books, you can sublimate a lot of your rage and just do it in a really kind of like slightly buried way. But you can make a lot of those references to the adult world and what's wrong with it without being explicitly about the adult world. It's just the adults will know, but also the kids will kind of get it. Because I remember I read a lot of satire as a child because we had a lot of those Steve Bell his comics, and also I remember reading there was there's like a 1950s comic called Dan Dare, Future, and there was a 1990s dark one where it was basically a kind of fictional Margaret Thatcher government. And it's absolutely amazing. It's basically about it was about the mass production of food and how it's turning us all into monsters. But I think basically what I'm saying is children can understand a lot and they can gather a lot from context clues. And also I think they are quite political and they are quite moral.
And they're justice is very important to children. They don't like bullies. They don't like people being unfair or unkind as a general rule. You can get a lot of those messages across about, without ramming it down children's throats like a ethical foie gras. You can kind of sort of, make those points gently. And also I think it's where perhaps humor we can do it even more, Louis, is you can operate something on two levels at once. It's quite clear kind of, the homophobia line in this, a child would read it one way and an adult would read it the other. And that's quite nice to think if a child came to your book at another point when they're older, they might see what that other trap was running.
Yeah. I mean, not at all comparable, but just like when I came back to Narnia when I was older, I was like, holy crap, it's Jesus.
Literally the Bible.
Literally the Bible. And they all literally die at the end. Isn't that nice?
I hope everyone's read that now and just
spoiler.
It's a snuff movie, The Last Battle.
I was going to ask you about exploding things as well, Maz. And Louie stole the question. It must have been a good one. So I'm going to ask you both the same question, which comes from, I have two about Louie's book, so you can both do it. So if you were going to create a night game, what 3 tasks would you set?
Who am I setting it for?
I think you should set it for Maz. And Maz, you've already created the night game. Let's set one for Maz.
Mistake. Just so we're clear, I'm not paying £2.95 for chunky chips.
I won't make you do that.
Maybe the water world could feature there as well.
Yeah, so basically it's water world, but you've got to put on a show with a bunch of complete strangers and you've got 20 minutes and basically you've got to persuade all the other people in your water park to put on a show that is going to be hilarious, moving, and maybe some musical numbers. So that's your first challenge.
What are you talking about? That's just like doing the hay festival. I mean, that's what we do. Yeah, challenge accepted. Fine.
That's a new idea. Hay festival at a water park. I'm saying it would be.
Hay festival usually is a water park. Actually, hay festival is usually a swamp. So yeah, that would work very well actually.
And then you've got to go up to a complete I'm doing strangers. I don't know why. Strangers is a theme. Stranger danger. Then you've got to do an impression of an animal in such a way that people who don't know that animal would be able to recognize it. So basically it's impossible. I want to set you an impossible task. And
the big finale.
The third grand finale is you have to find your first crush and tell them exactly how you felt about them.
Oh, I made it quite clear. I showed him my knickers at the time. I was sick. He was no impression where I was. So yeah. I think the therapy's going well though. And, he's gone now. So.
Come on, Maz, get your own back. What's your turn?
Right, okay, so the first thing is to go 24 minutes without swearing on a live Zoom call, because you've done it twice now. So it's going to be
I was drinking water. Okay.
Now, the second one is you've got to write a weighty YA novel with no humor whatsoever at all about how great a right-wing government really is.
Oh.
That's me.
And how there's
What's in our cabinet?
There's too much tolerance in the world is basically the message. You're just sick of all the tolerance and understanding. But it's got to be at least 95,000 words long, and you failed if you don't get an Amazon Prime adaptation. So
I don't think you need to set a task 3. She's not getting.
I love it. Now I'm going to do this entirely to spite you, or possibly.
And anyone can do. You can. So yeah, there you go.
Wonderful. I feel challenged.
Yeah, challenge laid down.
Yeah.
Three. The other thing is you have to do nightmare like it wasn't our kids in your head with someone guiding you around your house.
Oh, that's just brilliant. I'd love to do that.
Why wouldn't you just?
Put the helmet over your head.
Oh no, left of the fridge. I mean, right.
Oh no, you've fallen down a hole.
It terrifies me.
They always fall down a hole.
And the graphic was sort of just disappear off screen. And anybody who was under 40, Nightmare was a children's television program. We used to have to watch them on the television live, couldn't pause it or anything. And where someone literally was put on a bucket, put a bucket on their head, and was guided by their very young friends through a terrible CGI kind of labyrinth, wasn't it? Through castles and stuff, and we all loved it.
It was amazing.
Quite fancy the Dungeon Master.
I was going to say I am under 40 though, just in case anyone got the wrong idea.
Why are we doing this call? I don't know.
Because you love me and I chose your books for the bar.
You've got all the help you have, you know.
I think we've gone way over time, but it's been loads of fun.
Is
anyone still watching?
It's on the chat.
I think I've got one last question. We'll end on this question. So in other lands, the children have to go to the cave where the lost things are and find something. I'm not going to say what it is. What would you like to go and find?
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of something that's in any way appropriate for this particular conversation.
I'm gonna guess. Does my childhood cat that died count? I don't think it does. That's not really lost.
Oh.
I know. I had a Rupert the Bear toy, and I lost it in Kew Gardens when I was 3. And all I had left was the tiny scarf because it was like. So I would like to go and find that Rupert the Bear.
Oh, that's awful. That's genuinely proper sad.
Yeah,
when people lose things like that, I can see the scene in the movie, like literally Rupert's little scarf just blowing in the wind.
The thing is, now it would probably trend on Twitter and someone would find it.
Yeah, I give it back to you. Mine would probably be every helium balloon I've wasted £5 on for my children that they've promptly let go of and then screamed. And one such occasion, we scoured the whole. So this is when we cared as parents. We scoured the whole bar to find the one vendor that had the unicorn balloon or whatever it was. Went and got another one and said, "Look, we found it! We found the balloon!" And by then, that 3-year-old looked up and said, "Well, how did it get up in the tree then?" I'm like, oh. Every helium balloon I've ever wasted money on for my children and make them sit and admire them forever.
I think there's a whole segment of Tony's Kingdom just for those balloons.
That's for those balloons, yeah. And biro lids and my car keys.
Yeah.
That was 20 years or so.
Thank you. Well, I've enjoyed myself. I hope people who've been watching have enjoyed themselves. And they can not
story.
books by these fabulous ladies anymore. If you haven't got copies, then go and get yourselves a copy. They are fantastic. And don't they look good when we all pose with them? Yeah.
Yay!
So, Maz, you can go and enjoy your coffee and a biscuit now, and I better send an apology coffee and a biscuit to Louie.
If it makes Louie feel any better at all, and Hev, I do not want this to make you feel bad. I'm horrifically allergic to caffeine, so I'll pop it in the envelope and send it you. I can't actually drink it, so it's coming to you. Don't worry. It's all good.
Just before we go, I think it's Gaz Needle who's watching, and I'm just going to share his comments. Hopefully, it's going to pop up on the.
Yeah, we'll have to get a little bleep machine for.
Can I just provide some context to my Schadenfreude about this? Hev told me off before we started and said, Evans, do not swear. And I didn't. If I'm being a bit of a petty little cow about it, that's why. Clear. I'm not just
relaxed too much.
Oh, well, it really is time to go. So forget the coffee. It's time to go and have a glass of something. I think we've all deserved it. So Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.